Mine is how many of you have ever looked at magazines and thought, oh, I wish I looked like that. Oh, I wish I had flawless skin. Oh, I wish I was that thin. Like these people.
Picture mute. Picture mute.
This is Photoshop. Like these people. That's Madonna. Look at the difference between her face. Today I'm going to be talking about how Photoshop is a menace to society. I'm going to start with how Photoshop works, what it does to people, that it causes anorexia and bulimia, and the statistics of anorexia, bulimia, and the laws. Here's a video. The video that I was supposed to be showing is of a girl, or average girl, who starts off with no makeup and everything. Even with makeup, hairstylist, and perfect lighting, they still Photoshop her from looking like an average girl, like a supermodel. They shape her chin, her eyes, her hair, her eyebrows, and the color of her skin. The way they do this is, first I got this information off of my Microsoft Photoshop online by Rob Stocks. First, they smoothen the skin by blurring the areas. Then what they do is they color fix all the areas that are blemishes and shadows. The next thing they do is they sharpen and tweak the images to make them look prettier. The last thing they do is they make the images pop with color. So with the girl, what they did was they made her eyes pop, her lips, and her hair. And those things cause children and adults to think, oh, why does she look like that? Why can't I look like that? And they strive to look like that. And that causes anorexia and bulimia. Anorexia is, I got this information from the National Association of Anorexia Nervosa and Associated Disorders. Anorexia nervosa, a relentless pursuit of thinness and unwillingness to maintain a healthy weight. A distortion of body image and intense fear of gaining weight. A lack of menstruation among girls and women. And extremely disturbed eating behaviors. And bulimia nervosa is a characteristic by binging and purging. Binging and purging is where the individual binges on food and snacks. It's like their ritual, and then after a few seconds of digestion, they purge the food, which is vomiting. Some statistics of anorexia and bulimia that is caused by media is that girls between grades of 5th and 12th grade, 47% of them want to lose weight because of magazine pictures. How can that be if we're supposed to be we're supposed to be perfect and stuff? Like, that's what these magazines are doing to girls at the age of 9, 10. 69% of these girls, 69 of these same girls reported that they were influenced by the idea that they had the perfect body shape, not the girl, not themselves. 42% of first through third grade girls want to be thinner. First graders, they're 6, and they want to be thinner because they see these cartoons, these magazine covers, everything as perfect. 81% of 10-year-olds say they're afraid of being fat. That's sad, because at the age of 10, they're beginning to go through puberty, so of course they're going to gain weight, of course they're going to have lanky arms, or they're going to have long legs and a short torso. That happens to everyone, but they think that they're ugly because of this. Some of the laws that have already been passed in Israel, not here, in Israel, is they have a Photoshop act that the government doesn't allow them, has control over what is publicized and everything. I got that off one of the magazines, off a magazine called, off a magazine article, which is, which side are you on? Photoshopping images hurts teens. And in this, it said, in one of the arguments it says, yes, these images cause false advertisement, as like we wouldn't eat food that we don't know what is in it, but yet we're looking at these things thinking that. And then the other one was, no, they don't cause these anorexia and bulimia. This is a self-esteem issue. How is this a self-esteem issue when first graders are getting it? First graders don't know any better. In conclusion, Photoshop should have some laws in it so it doesn't cause anorexia and bulimia. And Photoshop City, internet, you're better than this. You can see the cellulite in Kim Kardashian's butt right here, but there's nothing there. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Steve, what did you think?
I thought her thesis was clear, but just the wording, I think we could have changed it a little bit. I thought it was kind of more persuasive than informative, but I knew what you were going to talk about, so that was good. And although the video didn't work, I like that you still talked about the video instead of just skipping it, because then it kind of, if you did skip it, then I would have been like, huh, I wonder what the video's going to be about. But since you talked about it, it still gave me like, it helped me to draw an image in my head. And I counted 3 sources, so I think that was good, and they were all related to your topic. And I like that you actually define terms, because not everyone might know what anorexia is. And just one slight negative thing would be, I think it was just like the extra time given, I think you could go over the speech one more time, or 1 or 2 twice, just to have like a better presentation as well. And then the conclusion did kind of sound like a persuasive speech when you said that it was Photoshop should have some laws. Like, I agree. And even that, it was,
All right, the rhetorical question and the visuals that you had at the beginning, I think, identify the topic pretty effectively. It really is on the brink of being a persuasive presentation, so you want to be a little bit careful about that. I think the wording on the purpose statement is not as clear as it needs to be, and you were really kind of rushing that early section. When you get to the, there is a preview, but it goes by very rapidly, and then I don't really hear signposts in the rest of the speech. I'm just getting information here and there. So it gets to be a little cluttered and stacked sometimes with the way the data is being presented, and it needs to have some room for ideas to fit together, and I think that hurts the presentation. You define anorexia and bulimia, that's fine. Your links on the connection between Photoshop and anorexia and bulimia are a little thin. I think perhaps that's the wrong way of saying it. They are they're based on kind of the statistical correlation that you've got between the attitude that kids have about their body image and that sort of thing. And the first thing that popped into my mind, and fair or unfair, is what are these 6-year-olds and 10-year-olds doing reading these magazines where all of these photoshopped images are? That seems to me to be a little bit strange, that they're being influenced by that, because it's not really something that's designed for them. I'm not saying that they aren't exposed to it. And I guess I fall on the other side. I'm a little bit more skeptical of this thing. I think that there's probably a relationship here, and that some people are affected by it. The idea that it causes it, I think, is a little problematic, because if that was the case, we wouldn't be having this childhood obesity problem. All the kids would look at this and say, "Oh, damn, I don't want that to happen. I want to be this." So it seems like it's kind of counterintuitive. But I'm sure that there are some people that are influenced by these sorts of things. And I think that would maybe be a more fair way of presenting the argument, saying, look, these can have a dangerous impact on a variety of people, and a lot of kids, for instance, see this in a negative way instead of making a cause-effect claim. We're going to talk about causality when we get to the persuasive speeches, for instance, and this would be one of those places where I think you're taking a correlation and you're going with it, and that's problematic. The source citations were fine for the definitions that you had. It was a little awkward, the one citation that you had talking about the Israelis' regulation of photoshopping. And the first, again, another one of those questions that popped in my head. So do they have less anorexia and bulimia in Israel, where apparently they do something about this? I don't know if they merely require people to identify it, or they prohibit it, or any of those sorts of things. But you mentioned it, that there's some rule about it, and so I was kind of waiting for the other shoe to fall. So what happened as a result of that? Was there a change? Has there been a benefit? Something along those lines, and I didn't really hear any of that. On the visuals, I'd agree with Steve about the video. When you run into the problem, I thought you handled it pretty well. You didn't panic about it. You said, well, the video's supposed to run, but here's basically what the video tried to show. Do that. You didn't let it slow you down, really, and as a result, it doesn't become a negative focal point. It just is something that happened, and people will move on with it. The other visuals that you showed, I thought, were pretty effective at the beginning. The impact that photoshopping has on the pictures. Really, Madonna's that old. And I think, like, when you got into all that statistical information at the end, that might have been a good place to have a table chart talking about, how the kids feel about themselves, how they, what their opinions are about this at different ages. And of course, then I think we also need something that talks about what their exposure to these sorts of things would be in that particular point. You have a tendency to read, and you're also tending to look off, not to the side per se, but you're always facing the one direction when you're reading, and you want to remember you've got a whole audience that you're speaking to. All right, thank you.